It was a quiet Thursday evening, one of those nights where the stillness settles over the house like a thick blanket. Derek, my husband, had flown out to Chicago that morning for a 3-day conference. We'd said our goodbyes in the driveway at 6 a.m., his travel bag slung over one shoulder and a travel mug in his hand. He kissed me on the cheek and promised he'd call before bed. I smiled, waved him off, and then came back into the house, relishing the silence. I loved Derek, no doubt about it. But after 16 years of marriage, a couple of nights alone sounded like a mini vacation. Just me, a warm fleece blanket, chamomile tea, and the Netflix queue I never got to touch when he was home. The house was clean, the candles were lit, and our son, Alex, was upstairs in his room, no doubt buried in his headphones and lost in one of those online games he always played. Alex had changed a lot over the past year. At 18, he was in that strange space between boyhood and adulthood. He was tall now, nearly 6 feet, with messy brown hair and a quiet way about him. He had once been a bubbly, energetic child who followed me around everywhere, asking endless questions. Now he barely spoke unless spoken to. I tried to tell myself it was just a phase, that he was finding himself, that maybe college had shifted his priorities, but it didn't make the distance hurt any less. Around 9 p.m., I heard soft footsteps coming down the stairs. I was curled up on the couch halfway through a romantic comedy and looked up as Alex stood in the doorway of the living room. "Hey, Mom," he said quietly. "Hey, honey. Everything all right?" He nodded, then hesitated. "I was just wondering, do you want to hang out for a bit?" That surprised me. Hang out? "Yeah, I mean, since Dad's not home, maybe we could play a game or something like old times." A slow smile spread across my face. "You want to play cards?" He shrugged. "If you want." "Of course I want. You haven't asked me that in years." I set the remote aside, grabbed the deck of cards from the coffee table drawer, and patted the cushion next to me. Alex sat down, and we started a few rounds of rummy. At first, it felt awkward. We fumbled through the rules, laughed at our own forgetfulness, and joked about who used to cheat more when he was little. But slowly the rhythm returned. We laughed more freely. I caught glimpses of the boy I used to know. After a few hands, we paused for snacks. I brought out popcorn and soda, and we sank into the couch like two old friends. For a moment, everything felt perfect. Then Alex asked something that caught me off guard. "Mom, do you ever feel stuck?" I looked at him, puzzled. "Stuck? Like you're playing a part in your life? Like everything's happening because it's supposed to, but it's not really what you want?" I paused, unsure how to respond. "That's a deep question." He looked down, fiddling with the popcorn bowl. "I've just been thinking about you and Dad, your routine. It's like watching reruns. Doesn't it ever feel tired?" I set the cards down. "Alex, your dad and I have built a life together. A good one. It may not be flashy, but we're happy." He nodded. "But are you happy?" The question hung in the air. I opened my mouth to answer, but just then the power flickered and went out. The room was swallowed by darkness, and I let out a startled gasp. "Great," I muttered, grabbing my phone to turn on the flashlight. Alex stood up. "I'll check the fuse box." "I'll come with you," I said quickly, not loving the idea of being alone in the dark. We made our way to the basement, the narrow staircase creaking under our feet. The air was cooler down there, and everything smelled faintly of dust and old paint. Alex crouched near the fuse panel, examining the switches. "There's nothing tripped," he said. "Might just be the neighborhood." I turned to go back upstairs. That's when I noticed something strange. "Alex, why is the back window open?" He turned to look. I don't know, I didn't open it." We both walked over. The window wasn't just open, it looked like it had been forced. I felt a chill rush down my spine. "I think someone tried to break in," I whispered. Alex's jaw tightened. "Stay here." "No," I said, grabbing his arm. "We should call the police." But Alex shook his head. "Let me just check the backyard real quick, if someone's still out there." He grabbed a flashlight and walked toward the stairs. I followed him up, my heart pounding. We crept through the house, peering out through the back door, but saw nothing, no movement, no sound, just the distant hum of emergency lights from down the block. As we stood there staring into the dark, Alex turned to me and said, "You know, this might sound weird, but I'm kind of glad this happened." I blinked. Glad? Because it gave us a reason to talk again, to be close again. My chest tightened. I hadn't realized just how much I'd missed him. "I've missed you too," I said softly. We locked the doors, closed the windows, and lit some candles in the living room. The power had still not returned, so we sat in the soft flicker of candlelight, both of us quietly thinking. After a while, Alex said, "There's something I need to tell you, and I didn't want to say it while Dad was around." I tensed. "Okay, what is it?" "I don't want to go to business school. I know that's what you and Dad wanted, but I want to do something else. I want to go into creative writing, maybe even screenwriting." I stared at him stunned. "Alex, why didn't you just tell us?" "Because Dad wouldn't understand. He thinks it's a waste, that writing is just a hobby." I sighed. "Your dad?" "He just wants what's best for you. He worries about security, stability." "I know, but I can't keep pretending. I've been applying to different programs behind your backs. I even got accepted into one." He pulled out his phone and showed me an email. It was from a prestigious film institute on the West Coast. I read it, my heart pounding. "Alex, this is incredible." His eyes searched mine. "You're not mad?" "Mad? I'm proud. So proud. I just wish you hadn't felt like you had to hide it." He smiled, a genuine, relieved smile that lit up his whole face. "Thanks, Mom. That means everything." The power flickered back on just then, flooding the room with light. We both laughed at the timing. As I stood up to blow out the candles, Alex grabbed my hand. "I also wanted to say thank you for everything. You've always been the one I could count on, even when I acted like I didn't care." Tears welled up in my eyes. "I'll always be here, Alex, no matter what." That night, we stayed up for hours talking about college, about life, about the future. When I finally went to bed, I felt something shift inside me, something tender and warm. My son had grown up, yes, but he hadn't grown away. He was still mine, and now I knew no matter what path he chose, he'd be okay. When Derek came home 2 days later, I told him everything. He wasn't thrilled at first, but over time he came around. It wasn't the plan we had envisioned for our son, but it was his plan, and that mattered more. Sometimes life throws you surprises in the form of a power outage, a forced window, or a late-night card game. And sometimes those are the moments that bring you closer than you've been in years. All I know is that night changed everything. And I'll never forget what my son did when my husband wasn't there.